Hi! If you're tired of seeing the same free games recommended in every other video, you're in the right place. Today, I've got a list of free co-op games that can actually surprise you. I picked these so you've got options, something for 2 players, 3 players, or a full group. Timestamps and game titles are in the description, so you can jump straight to the genre you like. Let's get into it. I want to start with Torchlight Infinite. If you love ARPGs where your build feels like a custom-made machine, Infinite really delivers. You're not just leveling a class, you're combining active skills, support effects, and upgrades so everything clicks together, whether you're going for fast clears, huge burst damage, or safe farming. One standout system is pack spirits. They're not pets that just fight for you. They're more like spirits that feed your build with passive bonuses and add another layer of customization. And for endgame variety, each season brings new mechanics, like Arcana, which is built around rooms and challenges with card-like effects you can stack to raise both the risk and the reward. At one point, the game also introduced a dedicated co-op mode called City Defense, where you and your friends hold the line and protect a crystal from waves of enemies. It's basically tower defense on an ARPG engine, where everyone has a role and crowd control actually matters. Unfortunate Spacemen. This is one of those rare co-op games that's both friendly and completely paranoid at the same time. A crew of spacemen runs rescue tasks, searches for weapons and supplies, repairs systems, and prepares for evacuation. But one of you might be a creature that can impersonate a human. The game pushes you into uncomfortable choices. Sticking together is safer, but a lot of objectives force you to split up, and that's when the real drama starts. Suspicion, checks, and panicked yelling. The monster plays like a sabotage-focused hunter. It slows your progress, delays objectives, sets traps, and waits for the perfect moment to reveal itself and strike. That's why matches never feel the same. Sometimes you win through discipline and tight teamwork, and other times the whole round comes down to one smart diversion, or someone escaping on the shuttle in the final second. Alien Swarm Reactive Drop. This is a tactical co-op built for teamwork. Before a run, you actually think about squad composition and loadouts because roles genuinely matter. One player boosts the team and sets the pace, another holds off the hordes, someone keeps everyone alive and fixes critical mistakes, and someone handles mission interactions, terminals, doors, defending key points. Even something simple like placing turrets or locking down narrow corridors turns into a mini strategy game. Reactive Drop also expands the original formula with more content, co-op support for up to 8 players, and an active community around missions and challenges. What's especially cool is how the game rewards smart decisions, like taking electric weapons not for raw damage, but for control, so you can stun and hold crowds without breaking your team's formation. It's the kind of co-op where being useful feels great. You're not just shooting, you're plugging gaps, saving teammates, welding doors shut, cutting off a flank, and the whole mission hangs on those small, precise plays. Operation Harsh Doorstop. This is more of a tactical shooter sandbox than a single finished game. The focus is on team discipline, positioning, pacing, and a realistic combat vibe, not arcade duels. The best part is how much freedom it gives you. You can play it like a milsim with careful pushes and cover, or turn a match into an experiment with custom rules, maps, and community-made content. The game stays accessible on purpose. It's free, doesn't pressure you with microtransactions, and leans heavily on the community and modding. It really shines in co-op when you run your own server and tune everything to your group. You can set up a session for friends, add bots, auto-balance teams, and basically create your own private war for the night. That's perfect if you want the tactical experience, clearing areas, holding objectives, pushing assaults, without the constant stress of PvP. And then the community magic kicks in. Themed mods and scenarios show up, and suddenly the game turns into a platform you can play in a new way every time. Minion Masters. This one is a fast mix of tower defense, RTS, and a card game where winning comes down to timing and tempo control. You pick a master with unique abilities and build a deck of minions and spells. Some you drop to apply pressure, some to defend, and your spells are there to ruin the enemy's plan at the worst possible moment. Matches are short, quick, and super dynamic. But the Royale highlight is 2v2, because that's where the game becomes all about synergy. You and your teammates share the battlefield, combine decks, and track not only your own resources, but what your partner is setting up. The key mechanic is controlling bridges and building momentum. If your team takes control of the map, you hit your power spikes faster and can start that snowball that's really hard for the other side to stop. Relic Hunters Zero. This is a bright, fast, twin-stick action game where the fun comes from speed and space control. It's not just about landing shots, it's about managing fights smartly. There are lots of weapons, but the game constantly makes you think about ammo, swapping guns, and which tools work best against different enemy types. The characters also feel distinct. Your pace, range, and approach can change a lot depending on who you play. For co-op, it's perfect for a night with a friend. You clear levels like an old-school arcade game, but with modern pacing and a ton of loot. Co-op works because the teamwork is simple but satisfying. One player can hold space and manage crowds, while the other picks off priority targets and chooses the right moments to push. Together, you handle waves faster and speed up progress toward unlocks. And when you're not in the mood for story and just want pure gameplay, the Endless mode has you covered. Fistful of Frags. In this one feels nothing like a typical shooter. Accuracy is tightly tied to movement. If you want to hit shots, you have to stop or at least slow down, then fire. Because of that, every fight turns into a duel. The first person to shoot while sprinting usually whiffs and immediately gets punished. Gear weight also matters a lot. If you grab too many guns and too much loot, your character actually slows down, so you're thinking not just about firepower, but how fast you can disengage or take a better position. And for co-op, there's a whole other side of the game. PvE missions where you push objectives and hold defenses as a team. One day it's a bank raid, the next it's a last stand scenario where you just have to survive the pressure. That's also where mechanics like dual wielding really shine. You can run two revolvers, switch grips in clever ways, and use the flip for extra accuracy. It sounds weird on paper, but in motion it becomes its own little skill system. Stay Out is an MMO shooter set in a dangerous zone where you and your friends go on loot runs, push into anomaly-heavy areas, hunt mutants, and constantly decide how deep you're willing to go for bigger rewards. Survival is a big deal here. Food, water, your character's condition, injuries, and always keeping an eye on supplies. Dying hurts, not just because you lose time, but because you can lose everything you're carrying. Co-op isn't optional here, it's basically required. The weapon and inventory systems are intentionally grounded. Magazines, prep before fights, limited resources. This isn't the kind of game where you just tap a button and keep shooting with zero consequences. So it naturally pushes teamwork and roles. One player guides the group through dangerous routes, another tracks supplies and timing, and a third provides cover and keeps distance. On top of that, there's a strong social side with clans, helping new players, and trading info and rare finds. War Brokers is a fast-paced online shooter with way more emphasis on teamwork than you'd expect. Even with its simple voxel look, the gameplay is packed. Big maps, a bunch of vehicles, and constant role swapping mid-match. In a single round, you might push objectives on foot, jump into armor, then take to the air in a helicopter to support your team from a completely different angle. With all that mobility and verticality, fights rarely turn into static shootouts. Teams are always moving, regrouping, and hitting from multiple directions. The co-op feel really comes through in team modes, where winning isn't about solo aim, it's about coordinated play. Teammates cover vehicles, share rides, sync pushes on objectives, and help hold key positions. When a squad is working together, it feels less like random chaos and more like a quick, messy battlefield operation. Strinova is a new competitive shooter with an anime style, and its main hook is a unique system that lets you shift into a 2D plane during fights. You can literally flatten yourself to shrink your hitbox, run along walls, stick to surfaces, and dodge bullets in ways you normally wouldn't. And it's not just a gimmick, it's built into the core gameplay. The shooting is arcadey and smooth with a low barrier to entry, but the game still rewards skill, smart movement, and actually understanding the mechanics. Gameplay-wise, it's a hero-based PvP shooter with multiple modes, everything from classic teamfights and bomb modes to payload escort. Each character has active abilities and an ultimate, and the character designs are memorable. The visuals and music give it a flashy, high-energy vibe, and matches feel fast and cinematic. Monetization is mostly cosmetic, skins, battle pass, and gacha-style elements that don't directly impact balance, though the UI and all the systems can feel a bit overloaded. Muck is co-op survival built on a simple but addictive loop. During the day, you farm resources, craft weapons and armor, build up a base, and split responsibilities: who's chopping wood, who's mining, who's hunting for food. Then at night, the pace flips completely. Enemy waves show up, and it's a straight test of how well you prepared. Co-op in Muck is all about tempo and team roles. One player can focus on farming and upgrades, another on crafting and gearing everyone up, and a third on defense and wave control. Random buffs and loot are a big part of it too. One good drop can change the entire team's playstyle, forcing you to adapt on the fly and rethink your survival plan. So each run ends up feeling like a compact little adventure. War Selection is a great pick if you want co-op in an RTS format, building a civilization and fighting as a team. A match starts in the Stone Age with a small tribe, basic resources, and simple units, and then you advance through eras. As you develop, you shape your faction's identity, where you expand, which tech path you take, and how you build an economy that can actually sustain a war. The game supports huge lobbies, and that's where it really shines, like a true frontline map where allies cover each other and split responsibilities across different attack directions. One teammate can focus on the economy and rushing tech, another can handle defense and border control, and a third can build the army and apply pressure at the front. That's what makes War Selection more than a base and units RTS. It becomes a team strategy game where victory comes from coordinated development, map control, and joint offensive pushes. Digital Combat Simulator World is the free base version of an incredibly detailed combat flight sim. Even with the starter content, you get that true cockpit feel: startup procedures, navigation, weapons, target work, and most importantly, the cost of mistakes. In co-op, it turns into mini training ops. One person runs the strike, another provides cover, a third handles recon or holds airspace, and the whole mission feels like a real operation where comms, roles, and a solid plan matter more than who clicks first. Another big part of the magic is the community-made missions and scenarios. A lot of people aren't flying a scripted campaign. They're on active PvE servers with dynamic objectives that change and demand teamwork, clearing a convoy, escorting helicopters, or supporting friendlies on the ground. And with the mission editor, you can build a co-op sortie for your squad from scratch: routes, weather, triggers, reinforcements, wind conditions. Everything can be tuned so everyone in the flight has a job. Black Squad is a free tactical shooter that focuses on fast, tense gunfights and clean team play. Matches follow a classic round-based objective format, where it's not just about hitting shots. You've got to take smart positions, hold angles, and work together as a unit. In co-op and team modes, the game shines through squad synergy and supporting your teammates. Players cover flanks, share info, hold objectives, and help each other survive extended trades. It's also worth mentioning the PvE modes, where you stick together against waves of enemies. That's where abilities and teamwork feel especially good. Setting up automated support, blocking approaches, wiping tight groups, rotating at the right moment, and stopping the enemy from breaking your line. Rogue Company is a third-person PvP shooter built around teamwork, but instead of pure chaotic gunfights, it leans into heroes with unique abilities and loadouts. The skill floor is pretty low. The shooting is arcadey, responsive, and smooth, so it feels comfortable even for newer players. At the same time, the fast pace keeps fights intense, and health regen outside of combat lets you reset, come back, and win rounds from bad situations if you play cover and timing correctly. The main hook is the roster of characters with active and passive abilities. Healing, buffs, control, and utility can directly decide rounds. Matches run through familiar modes like point capture and bomb plant, but with strong 360 audio, a drop-in start where you can see flight trails and clear, readable maps. The game encourages tactics, bait plays, and coordinated team pushes. Super Animal Royale is a fast-paced top-down battle royale where the cute art style hides some pretty tense, tactical gameplay. Matches move quickly. You drop in, loot fast, grab armor and supplies, and keep rotating because the shrinking zone basically forces everyone into constant fights. In co-op, it feels especially alive because of team decisions and squad synergy. Teammates share resources, cover each other while healing, and control key areas together. Survival mechanics add extra depth too, healing with food and drinks, repairing armor, and using vehicles smartly to reposition the whole squad quickly. So even short matches turn into packed, high-energy co-op runs. The Finals is a team shooter built around objectives and destruction, where every match feels like a fast-paced show with constantly changing fight conditions. Instead of the classic, just get more kills, the main goal here is to find vaults, carry them to cash-out stations, and hold the area while the deposit completes. So the gameplay is all about pressure, steals, and defense, not random, chaotic gunfights. The big mechanical hook is large-scale environmental destruction, and it directly shapes co-op play. You can blow out walls, drop floors, and remove cover to open new attack routes or create weird new angles for defense, so your team is always adapting to a changing map. Different weight classes and gadgets also boost team synergy. Some players create mobility and support, others lock down space and hold defense, and others dive in and break the enemy's setup. Enlisted is a shooter where you're not just one soldier, you're commanding a small squad in battle. You can issue orders, and when you die, you simply swap to another soldier in your squad and keep pushing. In team play, the engineer is often the key role. That's the class that builds fortifications, stationary positions, and most importantly, rally points. Spawn spots that speed up your team's attacks and turn a point capture into a real siege. In a solid squad, one player handles building and logistics, another clears buildings, and a third controls approaches and flanks, and the match starts to feel like a coordinated operation. The game even highlights how valuable this is with upgrades and in-game notifications. FragPunk is a round-based shooter with a clear objective, where it's not just skill and positioning that matter, you need a plan for each specific round. The main hook is shard cards. Before the round starts, your team picks cards that literally break the rules and change the pace of the fight, from how bullets behave to how you're supposed to hit the objective. Because of that, matches feel like a series of mini scenarios. One round you're dominating, the next you have to play slower and safer because the conditions suddenly flipped against you. The co-op magic really shows up when your team starts picking cards around roles and combos. Some cards boost your push, others strengthen defense, and others create traps and control. And it all works best when your team agrees on how you're going to play the round. Plus, there's an extra layer of forced adaptation through weapons. Based on what players are saying, some guns can be limited in how often you can use them, so you can't just run the best weapon all match, you have to swap options, and sometimes literally steal a gun off an enemy. Goose Goose Duck is a social deduction where the co-op is built on trust. Geese do tasks and try to survive, ducks sabotage and eliminate players, and sometimes you'll also get neutral roles with their own win conditions. The key difference is proximity voice chat. You only hear people who are close to you, so the game turns into a live improv scene. Someone's whispering excuses in a hallway, and someone else is luring you away on purpose, so this ends very badly. It really shines with a group because the roles and modes create tons of reasons for team decisions. Voice chat is the heart of the fun here. It makes matches loud, chaotic, and super memorable, especially when roles directly mess with meetings and break the usual logic of accusations. And it helps that the game is cross-platform and makes it easy to fill a lobby. Those are my co-op picks, nothing super overused, but packed with cool mechanics. Let me know in the comments which ones you've already played and which ones you're adding to your weekend games list, and drop your own recommendations too. Just keep it away from the obvious stuff. And if you want a part 2, hit the like button and leave a comment, and I'll put together another list with a different vibe. The Image Game channel was with you. Have a nice day.